The sun sets over an ancient African savanna. A group of early humans huddles around a freshly killed antelope. But what you're about to witness might turn your stomach. One of them cracks open the animal's leg bone and begins to suck out the marrow, slurping it down like we might enjoy soup from a can. Another uses a sharp stone to puncture the skull, carefully extracting the brain matter inside. These weren't special treats. These were survival strategies that fueled human evolution for hundreds of thousands of years. Without them, you and I might not be here today. When you walk through a grocery store today, surrounded by packaged meats, fresh produce, and endless variety, it's nearly impossible to imagine a time when humans had to fight for every calorie. Our prehistoric ancestors were innovators of survival, eating whatever they could find to fuel growing brains and bodies. The true story of prehistoric dining is far more complex and sometimes stomach-turning than the simplistic image of cavemen just hunting mammoths. Today, we're traveling back millions of years to uncover the surprising and sometimes revolting foods that sustained our ancestors through ice ages, droughts, and the everyday struggle of prehistoric life. 400,000 years ago, in what is now Israel, early humans made a revolutionary discovery. They figured out that animal bones could serve as nature's perfect food containers. At Cavemen Cave near Tel Aviv, researchers found evidence of deliberate bone preservation. Our ancestors were storing bones with skin still attached for weeks at a time, prehistoric food storage at its finest. The bones were used as cans that preserved marrow for long periods, notes Professor Rain Barkai from Tel Aviv University. Unlike the image of primitive people living hand to mouth, these early humans were planners. When food was scarce, they would unwrap their bone cans, crack them open, and feast on the still nutritious marrow inside. This high-fat food source was critical for survival. A single long bone from a large animal could provide up to 1,500 calories of energy-dense fat. In an environment where every calorie counted, this was liquid gold. More importantly, bone marrow contains nutrients essential for brain development. Cut marks on ancient bones from Ethiopia dating back 800,000 years show that marrow consumption was happening far earlier than previously thought. The human brain uses 20% of the body's energy, twice that of other primates, explains anthropologist Dr. Jessica Thompson. This high-energy food source may have been instrumental in our evolution from small-brained primates to large-brained humans. Feeling hungry? How about a handful of termites? Or maybe some juicy beetle larvae? If these options turn your stomach, you might be surprised to learn that insects were a regular part of our ancestors' diet for millions of years, and the evidence is written in our DNA. Our primate cousins like chimpanzees still feast on termites to supplement their diet. This behavior dates back to our last common ancestor with chimps about 6 million years ago. Fossilized human feces reveal insects were on the menu throughout human evolution. Even after developing sophisticated hunting tools, humans continued to consume grasshoppers, crickets, and beetle larvae. Today, approximately 2 billion people worldwide still regularly eat insects. In Thailand, fried locusts are a popular street food. In Mexico, roasted grasshoppers called chapulines are a traditional snack. These aren't exotic novelties, but continuations of an ancient dietary tradition. Insects are surprisingly nutritious. Many species contain up to 80% protein by weight, more than beef, chicken, or fish, plus essential fats, fiber, and micronutrients like iron and zinc. Even more importantly, insects are reliable. Large game can be difficult to hunt and may disappear during drought or harsh winters. Insect populations are more stable and often available year-round, providing a critical backup food source. Cave paintings dating back to between 30,000 and 9,000 BCE in Spain show humans collecting wild bee nests and edible insects, suggesting these foods were important enough to record in early art. For our ancestors, a handful of termites or beetle larvae wasn't disgusting, it was survival. Perhaps the most shocking food that sustained our ancestors was also the most taboo by modern standards: animal brains. Around the world, skulls of prey animals show distinct markings that tell a clear story. Our ancestors were deliberately cracking them open to extract the nutritious tissue inside. Limbs and skulls were brought to the cave while the rest of the carcass was processed at the hunting scene, explains Professor Jordi Rosell, who studies prehistoric hunting practices. Why carry heavy skulls back to camp instead of just taking the meat? The answer is nutritional value. Animal brains are incredibly rich in omega-3 fatty acids, the same healthy fats found in fish oil supplements today. For pregnant women and young children in prehistoric groups, these nutrients were especially valuable for neural development. This practice was so common that it shaped our physical evolution. University of Kent researchers found that the strength required to crack skulls may have played a key role in the evolution of the human hand. Some prehistoric groups even developed specific tools just for skull processing. As unappetizing as this might seem today, brain consumption was a clever strategy that provided critical nutrients when other food sources were scarce. For decades, scientists believed that meat eating was the key to human evolution, but recent discoveries have dramatically changed this picture. In April 2024, researchers studying remains from a cave in Morocco found that hunter-gatherers from 15,000 years ago weren't primarily meat eaters. Instead, plants were their main source of protein. Wild tubers, starchy underground roots, were a critical food source for early humans. Teeth from prehistoric humans show evidence of everything from wild yams to cattail roots and water lily tubers. Today in Tanzania's savanna woodlands, there are about 40,000 kilograms of tubers per square kilometer, an abundant resource that would have been available even during poor hunting periods. But raw tubers are tough and fibrous. The game changer came when humans mastered fire. Cooking may be linked to the rapid increases in brain size that occurred from 800,000 years ago onwards, explains Dr. Karen Hardy, who studies ancient diets. Cooking breaks down tough plant fibers and makes starch more digestible, unlocking calories that would otherwise pass through the body unused. This revolution allowed our ancestors to extract more energy from the same foods. At Shanidar Cave in Iraqi Kurdistan, tiny food fragments show Neanderthals were cooking wild plants with herbs, including wild mustard, one of the earliest known seasonings, as far back as 70,000 years ago. Our ancestors weren't just surviving on plants, they were creating prehistoric cuisine. When we think of prehistoric humans, we often picture them hunting mammoths, those iconic Ice Age giants. And there's good reason for this image. Recent research on a prehistoric infant known as Anzic-1 found in Montana revealed that mammoth meat wasn't just an occasional feast, it was a dietary staple. Chemical analysis of his bones showed mammoth meat made up about 40% of his mother's diet. For Ice Age hunters living 13,000 years ago, these giant beasts were walking supermarkets. A single mammoth could feed an entire community for weeks. But hunting these massive animals wasn't just about food. The bones, tusks, and hides had countless uses. The focus on mammoths helps explain how Clovis people could spread throughout North America so rapidly, notes archaeologist James Chatters. With such a reliable and abundant food source, humans could travel farther and faster than ever before, fueling one of the most dramatic migrations in human history. One of the greatest misconceptions about prehistoric humans is that they only ate fresh foods. Archaeological discoveries reveal they were experts at food preservation, allowing them to survive during lean seasons. In colder climates, prehistoric humans used freezing temperatures to their advantage. In Arctic regions, they dug storage pits in the permafrost where meat could be preserved for months. Others used smoking, drying, or fermentation to extend the life of their foods. Perhaps most surprising is the evidence that early humans in Europe were making a form of crude butter as far back as 8000 BCE. Animal fats stored in waterproof containers made from animal bladders or skins could last for months without spoiling. These preservation techniques weren't just convenient, they were essential for survival during winter months or drought seasons when fresh food was scarce. The story of prehistoric food isn't just about what our ancestors ate, it's about how those dietary choices shaped who we are today. Each food source solved a unique survival challenge. Bone marrow and brains provided essential fats for neural development. Insects offered reliable protein when hunting failed. Tubers became more nutritious through cooking. Mammoth meat enabled unprecedented migration. Our prehistoric ancestors weren't mindless consumers. They were innovators who developed sophisticated understanding of their food sources, preservation techniques, and nutritional needs. The next time you sit down to a meal, Consider that your food preferences and digestive system were shaped by millions of years of dietary adaptation. Your ability to digest starch, your taste for fat, and even the shape of your hands reflect an ancient relationship with food that began long before recorded history. The shocking foods that sustained our ancestors may turn our modern stomachs, but they helped create the world we inhabit today. Scientific understanding of prehistoric diets continues to evolve as new technologies allow us to extract more information from ancient remains. Stable isotope analysis can determine precise ratios of plant versus animal foods in prehistoric diets. Dental calculus, hardened plaque on teeth, preserves microscopic food particles for thousands of years, revealing exactly what individuals ate during their lifetimes. These advances show that prehistoric diets were far more varied and regionally specialized than previously thought. From coastal groups relying on shellfish to inland hunters tracking large game, human dietary adaptation has always been about exploiting local resources effectively. As climate change reshapes our modern food systems, these ancient survival strategies may hold valuable lessons for our future.